Two undocumented teenagers seeking to end their pregnancies in the face of opposition from the Trump administration appear on track to obtain abortions without intervention from a federal appeals court. The administration's new policy of refusing to facilitate abortions for pregnant minors in U.S. custody seemed to be headed to the Supreme Court early this week, with its politically volatile mix of questions involving abortion rights and illegal immigration. Instead, Justice Department lawyers said Tuesday that they had belatedly obtained the birth certificate of one of the pregnant teens at the center of the challenge. She is not a 17-year-old minor, the government said, but an adult at 19. The 19-year-old, who is about 10 weeks pregnant, will be transferred to Department of Homeland Security custody imminently, according to court filings. And as an adult in immigration detention, she can presumably obtain the abortion she has been seeking for nearly a month, according to government policies on detained adults described in court filings. Separately, the Justice Department chose not to oppose a court order Monday without disclosing why it was not challenging the order allowing the second teen, who is 17, to end her pregnancy. She is close to 22 weeks pregnant and can now access abortion services. Judge clears abortions for two immigrant teens in U.S. custody. Although the two individual cases appear to have been resolved, a larger challenge to the administration's new policy is pending in U.S. District Court in Washington and has implications for the hundreds of pregnant immigrant minors in federal custody in recent years. That broader challenge was initially filed by a Central American teenager who terminated her pregnancy in October after a favorable ruling from the full U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit. A separate administration request is pending at the Supreme Court to vacate the D.C. Circuit's judgment from October. Trump administration suggests disciplinary action against ACLU lawyers in abortion case. The Department of Health and Human Services is responsible for caring for unaccompanied minors taken into federal custody after crossing the border illegally. Since March, the agency's Office of Refugee Resettlement has prohibited federally funded shelters housing the minors from taking any action that facilitates an abortion without sign-off from the director. The government says in court filings that it has strong and constitutionally legitimate interests in promoting its interest in life, in refusing to facilitate abortion, and in not providing incentives for pregnant minors to illegally cross the border to obtain elective abortions while in federal custody. In contrast, adult women in immigration custody are not subject to the same constraints. The government arranges and pays for transportation for such procedures, according to court filings. Lawyers with the American Civil Liberties Union say the administration's new policy imposes an undue burden on the constitutional right of teens in custody to choose to end their pregnancies and that the Trump administration is essentially vetoing that right. Unaccompanied immigrant minors have a particular need for reproductive care, according to the ACLU, because a high number are victims of sexual assault immediately before, during and after they cross the border.